And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Hi, Abraham. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. You've really...
A joke? We need a joke.
I am really so grateful for Esther and Jerry and you and this information, because it's changed my life.
Feels good to be in control, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I wrote a bunch of questions. So one of them, I've lived most of my life. I recently found my self-worth. I really found my deservability. I've lived a lot of my life.
Down in the sofa cushion, wasn't it?
I lived my life in a lot of contrast and self-doubt and no self-worth, and I'm sure I know my vortex is full, and I'm now really, really focusing. And
what we've noticed is that, so we stand here and Esther receives us and expresses us in confidence and knowing, but for those of you who are sitting and hearing, it's just another person with another opinion of something that they seem very sure of. But once you catch hold of some realization of who you are, and you actually begin utilizing your guidance system and guiding yourself into more and more alignment, so that you find yourself more often as a vibrational equivalent of what's in your vortex. So you allow those impulses to occur to you and you follow them, and then you see the results of all of that. That is where that awareness of your true value and worthiness comes from. No one else can assign it to you. You have to show it to yourself by lining up with Source. So when you line up with Source, who adores you, it's very difficult not to feel adored. But when you're not lined up with Source, who adores you, then even though Source is adoring you and all the worthiness and blessings that could possibly be offered are being offered, if you don't let them in, you don't realize them. And so this is all about you figuring out how to let it in. Good for you.
Mm-hmm. I love animals and nature and the earth, and I've woken up to the fact that this life is a complete gift, and everything here I realize is for us to enjoy. And I revel in trees and animals and everything. And recently I've been visiting a zoo in particular, and I used to project worry and sadness for the animals, which I've listened to a lot of your other CDs on animals, and how when we project worry or we go on a frequency or a vibration of concern or worry when our animals are sick, it just does no good for the animal because they're already aligned with Source, and it's so beautiful. But regarding animals that are in zoos, or these creatures, these beasts that we are trying to continue to propagate and to remove them out of extinction, what do animals feel when they're in a zoo, when they're caged up? Do they understand why they're there?
Well, they're not as analytical, are they? Which serves them. You've come more for the step one moment as humans, more to analyze and be more deliberate. The animals, the beasts of your planet, come with a powerful intent to be in the receiving mode, and so they remain that way. Let's apply the standard that we offered earlier. So there are animals in incarceration, and there are animals who are free. So let's mix them all together, and let's say there are animals who are in alignment and those who aren't, but most of them are.
Mm. So even when they are in a cage, they're not so aligned? Are they aware that something's not normal, or?
They do not lose their connection with Source. They do not rail against it. Humans want to superimpose how you would feel, not just over the animals, but over every other human. And that does not serve you very well. Do you ever hear yourself say, well, I wouldn't do that? I wouldn't have done that, which is just the way that you beat up on yourself over something that isn't any of your business or that you don't have any control over. And so we just want to ask you the questions. Let's say a subject comes to mind like this one, and you ask yourself, you say, well, I want to be of greatest value to everyone, including the animals. So I would like to influence whatever is best for the animal. Well, your greatest advantage to them is if you are in alignment. So here's the thing that works against so many humans, and they don't even realize they're doing it. If you decide to be dissatisfied about someone's plight, then in your dissatisfaction, you pinch yourself off from the solutions that you might offer otherwise. Where if you decide to be satisfied, then you have access to energy that could bring about something. Let's say that all of the animals that are caged have been railing against it, and they know what they don't want, and they knew what they do want. So they've created a vibrational reality, a free the animals vortex. Let's say that there's a free the animals vortex that's going on. And so in your satisfaction, you line up with that. In your dissatisfaction, you work against it, and you can tell which you're doing. Esther remembers being in Tucson, Arizona, and they found this wonderful desert museum out in the desert. And they took everyone who came to visit them out to see it. And for a long time, they didn't realize that the structures in the cages were man-made because they looked so natural. They'd taken several people there before they ran across the model that showed all the wire inside and all the plaster. Jerry and Esther laughed very hard when they realized that they'd been showing everyone this natural place that wasn't so natural. But there was one area, it was an aviary, where there were all kinds of birds. And it was very, very large. And Jerry pointed out to Esther, look, and there were some roadrunners inside the cage, and there were some roadrunners outside the cage. And they were talking to each other through the wire. And Jerry decided that he would do a voiceover about what they were saying. And so, hey, can you get me out of here? No, that's not what he said. They said, hey, can you get me in here? I see that you have water and so much food. And Esther said, I thought you'd be saying that they wanted out. And Jerry said, well, look at them. Doesn't it look more to you like they want in than that they want out? And then Jerry and Esther decided that it wasn't up to them to let those out or to let those in. Let's just let them work it out, was the decision that they came to. But you don't really know. Don't spend any time making yourself feel dissatisfied about something. Instead, give your attention to it and find the best feeling that you can. You don't want to be in a cage, and so you assume that they don't want to be either. And we don't think that that's a wrong assumption. Everyone wants to be free, but you know, your bondage is about what you do when you bind yourself with thoughts and don't allow yourself to be all that you are. That's where your loss of freedom comes from. Freedom is about flowing with your thoughts and allowing yourself to be. And so those animals that you are so convinced at times are unhappy are satisfied. Watch them. Look for evidence of that. Look for evidence of that everywhere you go. And you're more likely to find that than to find its opposite.
Yeah, I don't actually look at them in that way that I used to,
When you raised your hand, what was on your mind? What did you want to talk to us about? You're way over there. We found you way over there. You were all lighted up. What was on your mind?
There's a few different things.
All right.
Other things. Yeah. So as we're all on this journey together of wanting to find peace on earth, well, really peace within each one of us and live our dreams.
Because you're really not all on this journey together. You are individually here, benefiting by what others are doing. But don't see yourself as joining forces with others for a journey. You have individual journeys going on. And if you're not trying to round them up and take them with you, you'll have a whole lot more fun.
Well, I was looking at a bigger picture. If we're all doing our little journeys and trying to find our alignment or being in our alignment, we all, I think, at least people in my circle, want peace on earth and want to, live in peace and stuff. Like,
don't want any contrast?
No, it's not that you don't want any contrast, but it's like I seem to want to get to a place
you
where...
want to assign what people get to want. In other words, you want peace on earth. What about those who want expansion and who need some disruption in order to find what they want? We're just asking you to be aware when you're asking for peace. if you're not asking for less contrast. Because if you're asking for less contrast, you're asking for less rockets of desire. You're asking for less expansion. And so we don't think it's less of that you want. We think you want more control once you've decided what you want.
Yeah, I think I'm generalizing things.
Yeah, we think so too. But a lot of people generalize themselves right into a corner. You want satisfaction on earth.
Yeah.
You want satisfaction on earth, which means you want more people in the lined up with their inner being group. You want more people tuned in, tapped in, turned on. But rather than assigning the action to which you think will give them the satisfaction, step back one more step and just ask for their satisfaction. And then you teach that and encourage that and promote that by finding your own satisfaction. So let's take this to its full circle. Let's say you're looking around at the planet and you don't see peace on earth. Or let's say you don't see satisfaction on earth. Let's use the word you use. You don't see peace on earth. So you rail against the war and then you don't find satisfaction. So you can't be a promoter of anything unless you are in a place of satisfaction. You see how it works? You have to be the example of it. And so when people say, what are you for? You say, I'm for satisfaction. Well, you selfish person, I'm for everyone's satisfaction. What if we all want different things? I want everybody to have all the different things that they want. And I believe now, as I believed before I was born, that this time-space reality is big enough for everybody to get everything that they want or need in order to be satisfied. And that when I stop trying to be the orchestrator or the arbitrator or the controller of what others want or don't want, when I stop trying to prevent them from doing the things that I believe won't lead them to what they want because I don't believe it would lead me to what I want, then finally I'm free. And then I'm the example of what they want too. Yeah? Did we get there?
Yeah.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good. Yeah.